Welcome back. I'm Sean,
I'm Brad.
and this is my first watch.
This is my rewatch, The Wire, Season 2, Episode 3, Hot Shots.
Hot Shots. Whew. And what an episode, what a title. And you made a comment at the very beginning when we were watching this episode in that, well, repeat what you said. I'll let you say it. You said that this comes up again later. You were saying it's early for them to be using this term. You said something like that.
Yeah, so I knew what the terminology was. To be honest,
I never heard of it before, so.
Season 2 was probably my least watched season. Now, saying that, that's knowing that, I've watched Season 1 and 3 as my favorite seasons. I probably watched those seasons, 80 times. I probably only watched Season 2 of The Wire, 33 times. And so I always forget the timeline and the placement of different storylines. And while the only thing that escapes me in Season 1, I think, is Stinkum getting shot, there's so many details that are part of the overall story of Season 2 that I've forgotten about and when they happened. So knowing what a hot shot was, I just couldn't think of this storyline for it to come up. It always surprises me. It's like, oh, wow, that's now.
Well, I was shocked too, so let's get into it. That was dope. For everybody who doesn't like Season 2, man, I mean, how could you not like this? This episode was phenomenal.
We're rolling. I love it. So Omar is back.
Yeah, what a way to begin it, man. Omar being back. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They kicked it off amazing.
Let you know, hey, it's been a couple episodes. We don't want
looks like he got some new braids. Somebody did some did some cornrows for him. So he was in the Bronx, so he probably found some Dominicans or something.
There you go. He's got a new boyfriend. His name is Dante.
Yeah. Now, where do you think he finds them? I'm speculating here, but I feel like he picks up a lot of people just out of jail or coming out of prison. Isn't that where he found Brandon, right?
Well, they talked about how he had a whole gang of boys in jail.
That's what it was. Yes, that's what it was.
But I don't know, I don't know enough about the different freelancers in crime.
Right.
How does he link up? Remember, John Bailey was just a legendary or a well-known hitman for hire. So much so that they were even passing it off that he just got mixed up with the wrong crew or something, not even tying him to Omar at first. So who knows where he recruits these guys?
Yeah, it's just interesting. You think, I don't know, man, maybe I'm being stereotypical, but you think to be a gay gangster, it's hard to find other gay gangsters to hook up with, but I guess not. So I don't know.
Now, just to get even more stereotypical, if you are a gay gangster, is Omar not the number one draft pick of who you're hoping to link up with in career choices?
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying he attracts all those dudes to him. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, he's like the LeBron James of he's the Kawhi Leonard of gay gangsters.
I see what you're saying.
Everyone wants to sign with him.
That's right. So he's back in town. I get what you're saying. Copy.
Yeah. He's back in town. They're scoping something. They're already working on a scam, but surprising to them, there's two girls who pull guns on their targets before Omar and Dante can even move.
And you could tell he's a little impressed by this.
Mm-hmm. He said something like, oh, that's something you don't see every day or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're off and running. Thoughts just on these girls right away?
I think it's cool, the cool element to add to it, but I'm just more excited that Omar's back. I'm not going to lie to you. I was just more focused on, all right, what's Omar going to do now that he has somebody else to play against? So,
at any point, did you worry that we weren't going to get Omar this season?
No, because they kept talking about him, so no way.
So we get our quote. What they need is a union. That's from Russell, B.D. Russell. The workers from the boat are being interrogated by Bunk and Freeman and Beatty, and it's exactly like they were told last episode. No one's going to speak. No one's going to talk to you. I'll be surprised if they even speak English. It's just a montage. It's kind of cringy now, just when you see how.
Oh, just all the languages and how Bunk's just Bunk and Freeman too, just are being totally xenophobic about it.
Yeah. But there something that I think we got a lot of is the formula. Last season we had a lot of Bunk and McNulty, and I talk about their back and forth. We're really starting to get into Bunk and Freeman as partners here, and this is really the start of it. But they get
I like it.
Yeah, but they get nowhere, just as predicted. And Freeman even gets his Sam Jackson on. English, motherfucker.
Yeah, okay, so what happened first, the Chappelle episode or that?
Ooh, wow, that's very similar timing. It's probably
it might be the same year, yeah. That's
Ooh,
interesting.
that's pretty good. They check the boat for anything left behind. They get kind of the story of how these guys on the boats work and that two guys have jumped ship. But and a lot of guys have asked for the payment early, which means a lot of guys are probably going to take off. But that's not uncommon. But one guy never took his stuff. He just kind of disappeared.
Right. And I'm assuming that's the dude that the Greek took. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep, that's the guy that they were going with. That was the handler that they went looking for as soon as the boat docked in Philadelphia, which is where they are now, of course. And nobody's going to talk, so it's pretty much a dead end for them. And they're very concerned about like how much it's going to cost to keep the ship docked every hour, whatever. It costs so much money, so they just completely give up on this. Which comes back later into Jay just being like, well, since you let that boat go, what's the plan?
Yeah, so Jay really gets at them like, I have to have a plan. I can't tell Rawls we're sitting on our hands here, which, as a sergeant, I always respect Jay, never forgets what his job is, as much as sometimes he's friendly, sometimes he's an asshole, but he always kind of remembers what his job is, what his role is. So.
Yeah, never forget who you serve and what the end goal is, and self-preservation. That's what he told McNulty, right?
Yeah, self-preservation, yep.
Nick and his girlfriend, Amy, we get to meet her for the first time. She's cutting his hair. Amy says that their daughter, which we find out they've got a daughter together, talks about how mommy and daddy don't live together. And he does not really get it. So, he gets it, we find out later, but he's very dismissive and who talks about that and not really thinking that the way that they're living, I guess, no money. We know that he lives in the basement. And obviously the girlfriend and daughter don't live with them, and now that's affecting their child.
Yeah, so he puts off kind of like one kind of attitude towards this, but you can see when she walks away and when she leaves, when she offers to put blue streaks in his hair, and he snaps at her. You can tell he kind of feels the impact of what was just said in the conversation they just had, and he wants to make a change, and you see that in the next couple of scenes, how he's trying to improve his situation.
Yeah, and she really does give him an ultimatum, too, that you've got to either get your shit together and we've got to get a plan to get a house and have a life, or I got to move on and start building for me and our daughter.
Yeah, and she's very reasonable about the way she says it too,
Little known fact, my senior thesis was like this exact plot. I never realized it till watching. I went, wow, this is exactly what I wrote.
What, like about getting your life together for a daughter or something?
Yeah, there's way more involved, but essentially it's a drug dealer and he finds out that his girlfriend is pregnant and she says, you're not doing anything to build a life for us. We don't live together. And if you don't get your stuff together, I'm going to move in with my mom and you're going to be out of the picture and I'm going to focus on us.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's called We All Live Life. It's somewhere on YouTube.
Okay, I got to check that out. Maybe we should, is it on this YouTube channel? Maybe we can link to it.
We'll put it up there. It'll get up there.
All right.
McNulty's catches up with Daniels and the guys who really got the short end of the stick scene.
Yeah. McNulty kind of like, feels bad for the casualties, right? What's it called? Collateral damage.
Yes. Collateral damage, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Daniels is pretty, and I guess because he's made up his mind at this point, he's pretty much like, fuck it, we brought in a case, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's being optimistic because he knows he's putting his papers in.
And McNulty does not feel better about this.
Well, okay, so what do you think about what he said about Kima? Because he asks how's Kima, and he mentions that she's in forfeitures, and he's like, she's not a house cat. So I agree with him.
I don't know if Kima wasn't available during this filming or what the deal is, or it's just too much to cram her in here for, I guess it'd be ridiculous for her to end up down there at the same time for a meeting of all of them. But it definitely felt like a kind of a catch up between the three of them. The good police, the ones that were most prominent in the Barksdale case, are now completely buried in jobs that do not suit them.
Prez and those guys, yep.
Oh, Prez as well. I was thinking Kima, just in the conversation of Kima with McNulty and Daniels, those three.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Prez at this point is technically happy, he thinks.
Okay.
He thinks he's working in something he wants to be doing. But these three are completely out, in the wrong spot, the wrong job.
Yeah, and for different reasons, too.
Daniels does tell McNulty for sure that I'm putting my papers in.
He says that by this time next year, I'll be a lawyer or something like that.
Yeah, and what the fuck else would I be doing? What am I going to do here? I got a law degree. And you almost think like McNulty has no other option.
Well, McNulty also kind of looks at him like, he doesn't believe it, right? Because he almost has that good police radar, right? So he's like, yeah, but you like this. You want to be. I mean, you don't like being in the evidence room, but you like being a cop. You know,
it's in your blood.
Yeah.
The stick-up girls are counting their money from their hit.
They got 6,000. That's pretty good. Damn. Yeah.
And that's when Dante comes in and even almost drops Omar's slogan, like, Omar come calling. They said, we thought he was dead. And that's when he busts in and says, spread the word, darling. Omar back.
I like the shotgun, man. That's his signature.
That's his signature. In true Omar fashion.
Yeah, I'm a fan. He's only been in one episode, and he's the most interesting character, I think, so far.
He's only been in like 3 minutes.
But I will say, what's his name? The kid's name? Ziggy. Ziggy's kind of interesting too. They're building him up. So
he's a different character.
Yeah.
Bunk and Freeman fill Jay in, and this is where Jay tells him, like, did you let the boat go?
Yeah.
And go, yeah, well, then what's the plan? And again, self-preservation. We got to tell Rawls, we got a plan. We can't say we let the boat go, and now there's a dead end. So it's really going to be on these guys, Bunk and Freeman, to find a way into this.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're going to do.
Jay says Rawls is watching on this one. Valchek is now just realizing that the surveillance van is missing.
I was wondering what the end game for this was, and this was kind of the payoff here. So this was interesting to see Valchek figure out that the truck is missing, and then him get that little letter sent to him from the guys. Yeah,
it's funny. He asked what almost like we were talking about last episode, where he's go like, so it just disappeared from the lot, like they just
right.
How did that happen? And we're just going, yeah, how did that happen?
Yeah, at least it's consistent, right?
Prez, we go down to Prez now, and he's asking the detail. I don't know who this guy is. I guess he's the lieutenant. Prez is asking, where are we at? What are we doing? He's using these terms that only Freeman would know about. And this guy has no interest. And I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. He mentions DNRs, and which are the pen registers. I forget what I said it stands for, but dial number registry, I think. And this guy has zero interest. It's not turning out to be what Valchek or Prez had hoped they'd be getting into.
Yeah, and I also think they're grasping at straws, right? Because Valchek Valchek is like, where's he getting all his money from? And we know that he's doing something illegal through the cans, but they're grasping at straws. There was no probable cause for them to go searching for this. You know what I mean? So I think that's the difference between this and the detail from last season.
And they don't really have anything to go on. And that's what Prez is pushing, saying we need to investigate. And all this guy wants to do is buy busts, which means they're just thinking like there's like drug dealing going on or something.
Yeah, they begin with the buy busts.
It's all they know.
Yeah.
The girls are now going to work with Omar, and they're scoping out the newest hit. Stringer is in the car with Shamrock and I think Country. Stringer's talking about stocks, and he wants to drop all the cell phone stocks, all of them, Nokia, and they're laughing, and he's using his college education.
Well, not only that, he's using his street knowledge too, because remember he references Putin's like Putin's got one for the weight and one for his girls. Mm-hmm. So, the market's saturated. Like it's brilliant because he's using both worlds to make him, even better.
An educated decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're laughing. The guys are kind of laughing at Stringer playing Wall Street, but at the same time, they're on a stakeout trying to figure out what's up with this CEO that's fucking with Weebay.
Yeah, exactly.
We
know that he's selling on the side.
We saw last episode that he kind of disrespected Avon, and so now they're doing their homework to figure out what this guy's deal is. The stick-up girls tell Omar there's a steel door and just some guy sitting in there in his underwear watching TV and just one guy on the step. And looks like they're all going to do something together here. We go back to Tillman, and he is with a guy Butchie and some other guys, and they are making a bet on a dog versus a rat in the alleyway.
Yeah, that was, I don't know. Did you find any symbolism in this going on here, or was it just a random scene? What was happening here to you?
To me, it just seemed like a hobby.
Okay.
How did you see it?
I don't know, man. It was just this happening right as they were, about to set up Tillman. I don't know. I just felt like they were trying to tell me something. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, though. I've never seen a dog attack a rat in my life like that. So it was very jarring. So
we do confirm that this is Tillman's hookup, is this guy Butchie.
Right. He's blind.
And he's blind.
Right. Yeah.
Omar and Dante are talking about the girls. Dante is definitely jealous, right?
Well, I don't know.
He wants to ditch the girls. He doesn't want the girls a part of this. And
Yeah,
Omar's
he thinks that. I think he thinks that Omar may be sexually attracted, or he doesn't want them to be. He want him to be, I guess.
And Omar confirmed. He said, "Look, I'm gay.
Right. Yeah.
I have no interest." And he tells them, this is business. We need those girls." And they're breaking down the caper and caper 1950s. They're breaking down the hit, and they're talking about the steel door and the guy on the step. They need these girls as part of it to make this work safely. And
because he had came up with all these alternate plans, like we'll just do this and we'll just do this, and none of it was as safe as using the girls. So.
And Omar kind of checks him a little bit and tells Dante, like, "I don't bag no babies," and something like that, and basically telling him, like, you better act right.
Yeah, he's basically saying, "I don't like women." So
yeah, stop whining. Tillman is buying the drugs now from Butchie. This is where we kind of confirm that one, Butch is blind and that he is the connect for Tillman. McNulty drops his kids off at their mom's, at Elena's, his ex-wife. And last episode, I believe, is when he kind of thought that he told Rhonda that they're probably going to be getting back together. He's going to go for it for the kids. So he kind of, I think, has that energy when he asks, "Can I come in and tuck the kids in?" And she tells him no and says, "Hey, listen, my lawyer's going to send you something, some papers for separation." And he's like, why? And she says, "Oh, it's just for our protection." But clearly she is looking for a way out.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he almost was nonchalantly like, "Yeah, I'm about to get back together with my wife." And then this kind of hits him. So he was definitely not expecting it. So
yeah, like, did you talk to her about this? Nick is now complaining about not having enough work. And Ziggy's almost like, who cares? Day off. And he's saying, like, that's the problem. And he's got to get his life together. He's got this girlfriend, this ultimatum. And he's coming to realization with the bullshit that Amy was trying to call him on in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, so he's really trying to, improve his financial situation, and that's where Ziggy again offers to go in with him on some weight. So,
and this is surprising. I felt like the jump from here to where we got wasn't really explained. It just started happening, and I felt you had to start catching up a little bit.
In what way? How do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, just as he's saying this, we never really get the introduction of the scam that gets pulled. These guys, these guys are going to start selling cameras to the Greek.
Oh,
but we never really get an introduction of that. We just kind of go from here to, well, because that's Nick's answer. He says, "I'm going to find out my own way. I'm not selling drugs. I'm going to figure something else out." This is what he's going to figure out. But we never really find out how this happens.
That's true. Yeah, it's kind of a leap. You're right. Because at first I thought this was I was a little confused what was going on. Mm-hmm.
Bunk and Beatty are trying to track where that can originally with the dead girls was coming from.
Yep.
And where it was going to. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to this location we're supposed to go, and it's not a real location. And Beatty even tells them, "I'll bet you." She seems pretty knowledgeable about the business of the illegal cans and how the operations kind of work generally. Even though she's pretty naive to homicide, she gets how the ports work. And she says, a lot of these times, the place where it came from probably isn't even a real city or a real address.
Yeah, and it's cool because we're getting a chance for her to flex her muscles because we already know what Bunk and Freeman can do and McNulty, but now she's getting a chance to show her worth in this case. So
and Bunk and Freeman are really kind of out of their element in this way. They don't really understand the business or the industry, I guess, or the culture of the docks at all.
Yeah, for sure.
McNulty is pondering. He's looking at the picture of the floater and just kind of thinking, at least he's not drinking, right?
Right now he's not.
Right now he's not. Stringer comes to Butchie, and this is the start of the plan here to get the CO. And Butch is really nervous about this plan. They basically, we don't even really get an answer as to what they want. They just know that they want to do something with this guy's package, with Tillman's package. And Butch says, like, this guy's guaranteed money count is always right. He doesn't want to get rid of this guy, but Stringer says, one, we're going to make it right with the money. But 2, this is Avon's call.
Yeah, so they say how Avon's cold. Yeah, so
McNulty is talking to the coroner, Frazier, about the case, not being able to put all the pieces together. And this guy's just like, dude, come on. And we find out that 3 of these girls had breast implants from Budapest. It's just helping them kind of put together the world that these girls might have been living in, as far as being maybe sex slaves, sold, human trafficking, that they got these breast implants from the same place. And McNulty's just really needling this coroner, and Frazier is just like, dude, no one else would have been able to get this much information for you.
Right. Is this when he also finds out that Bunk and Freeman are stuck with the case now?
When Frazier tells McNulty also that these girls tested positive for intercourse with the guys, which helps really paint the picture. McNulty says, "Did you tell Cole all this?" And Frazier says, "Oh no, Cole's not on the case. It's your boy Bunk and the old dude." And McNulty, you can see it in his face. He goes, his face is just going, "I've just fucked my friends."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The stick-up girl are walking through this house that they're going to hit, just checking it out here. And they're walking with this little girl. And I guess this little girl lives there. This was a little confusing to me, still is, but I'm assuming this little girl lives there because this guy seems to know this little girl. So one of the stick-up girls walks with this little girl up to the door, knocks on the window where the drug man is, and says, "Hey, the boys were teasing the girl." And so this guy, just like they said, in his underwear, gets up and opens this big steel door, and they all kick in. I'm not exactly sure how this plan was playing out, or what this was, or why the girls were important, because there were 2 people. I don't get it. Did you?
Well, yeah, my interpretation of it, I'd love to watch it again, though, to break it down. But, I mean, like you said, the girl was a familiar person from the block. I don't know if she lives in the trap house. I don't think she would live there. It seems dangerous. But for whatever reason, she's part of that neighborhood. And it seems like, he's familiar with her, and they called out, like, yeah, she's picking on us. And they needed females to do that, because if Omar or what's his face did it, I feel like he would ignore that, Dante. I feel like it wouldn't be as credible as that you have a woman's voice. I think that was just kind of the key there. And weren't one of them holding her hand too, or something, right? Yeah. So it was kind of like, I guess they were portraying some sort of, neighborhood motherly figure or something. Yeah.
It was just weird to me. Like, I don't know. I guess I never thought about, were they known in the neighborhood? Because in my head, if they were known in the neighborhood, everyone would know they were stick-up artists.
No, I just meant the little girl must have been someone that the guy knows, because.
But why did the guy open the door? It just seems so bizarre. Like, hey, I know, because she knocks on the window and says the guy's name, Mr. Johnson or whatever his name is, and then he looks and then opens the door for them. Like, it's a trap house. You don't open the door for, you know what I mean? It was I don't know.
Yeah, the whole thing it was very yada yada yada, but
yes, exactly, yada yada yada. 13.
But I'm assuming, and you don't have to confirm or deny, but this was kind of like their first, we get the gang together in their first mission, right? So I'm assuming they'll have bigger ambitions as we go along in the season. So.
Yeah. Tillman is setting, like you said, I don't have to confirm, but yeah. 13.
Yeah.
Tillman is setting up his drugs in the car. He's putting I guess it's cocaine or whatever, in little cough drops, in Hall's cough drops, and then sticking them in the tube, and then he goes through the security, and there's no problems.
Yeah, interesting way how he gets his stash in, how he sneaks it in.
McNulty shows up to homicide to help work the cases with Bunk and Freeman and Beatty, or so we think.
Typical McNulty, man. He thinks he's like, the smartest person, and he's gracing them with all this knowledge. So.
And this is where we really get to see the back and forth between Bunk and Freeman and their relationship, because they're just rolling here, basically making McNulty feel like an entitled prick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're going to come up here to our department and tell us what's what with the case when we've already been on top of our shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
he laughs it off. But McNulty does mention, as far as, Jane Doe's in Baltimore, what happens to these bodies, and that it bothers him that I guess these girls are turned into medical subjects as cadavers and sent to and cremated and sent to just a random local cemetery. And Beatty looks at him and says, "That bothers you too?"
He kind of says, "Yeah, a little bit, right?"
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, why he's. Although, again, we have to be careful with McNulty and his motives, because we thought he was doing this for a righteous reason last time, and then he admitted this was all for him. It seems like he's saying that he's doing this for the girl.
Yeah, well, McNulty always needs his higher purpose be beyond his ego, right? Because that's not enough to justify. So
we get to Frank Sobotka in the political world.
Mm-hmm.
Back
and
to
he
Frank.
Feels so uncomfortable.
And we're getting the lay of the land as far as how politics and pay for play works here. And our boy Clay Davis is right in there.
He is just a caricature. I don't know, man. The minute I see him on screen, I want to laugh. And he hasn't even said anything yet. Like, it's hilarious to me. So, but I like the guy.
Frank's handler, maybe that's the lobbyist that they're paying, fills Frank in. Like, you don't need to talk to the guys that you're friendly with. That guy's already going to vote for. You need to hit these other guys, and lays out that they're paying money to these politicians, specifically $40,000 to Clay Davis. And the rap on him is that he's still asking for more money before anything happens.
And Frank's a little appalled at how much they're paying Clay, right? He's just like, we gave this guy $40,000.
Yeah, and again, they haven't gotten what they wanted. Frank is hoping that this works, and so when he talks to Clay, and Clay says, "Well, can't tell you what's going to happen, but you guys been making a lot of friends, right?" And Frank, it's very sleazy, and I felt like you can see Frank feeling sleazy going through it, where he says, "Hey, we're friendly guys," and Clay just kind of laughs and walks away.
So, yeah, because Frank, part of Frank, he did a good job in that scenario. So his buddy, the lobbyist, kind of looks at it and kind of like gives him a nod of approval, right? But like you said, part of him feels dirty for even having to do all that. Because he's a blue-collar guy. You can tell that's not his world. So
yeah, very uncomfortable. Beatty, Bunk, and Freeman going to Department of Justice to check on the original address of where the can came from. And just like Beatty said, it is fake, which means they have again, Jay told them to look for another avenue. They have no avenues.
Yeah, it's rough.
And specifically, talking about these, really all they have to go on is that these are Eastern European prostitutes. And this is where we get our quote from the beginning of the show: "What they need is a union." Really relating it back, I think, to what she sees with Frank and the docs and what those are supposed to be doing for those guys. But as we know, and as we find out in this episode, a lot of these guys are struggling.
Wait, but what does that got to do with the quote, though?
Well, when they're talking about these girls who get dragged here, and a lot of them don't know what they're, do they know what they're doing and all that, she says what they need is a union.
Right, but I thought he was referring, when she said that, she's referring to how much money they bring in, because what were they talking about? How much money is lost with each of those girls, and the value was like how much ever million over how many ever years. So I took that as her saying, like, yeah, these girls need a union because they're so valuable and making so much money for the organization that they should unionize. That's how I took it.
They're not making money.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they're not making anything. So what she's saying is that the union would take care of forming a union would help take care of
the girls. Yeah.
But look at the port workers in the union.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a stretch on my part.
I didn't take the port. I didn't even connect the port. I just thought it was like, oh, they're like they need a union because they're working so hard or making so much money. I don't want to call sex work hard work because it's like they're giving up their bodies. So it's like, damn.
Stan and Prez are having dinner. We kind of get to see Prez's wife, Valchek's daughter, a little bit to the side, I guess, a little family.
Yeah, so did we ever see her face? I think we kind of just see her from an angle. Like, we finally see the wife or the fiance.
She doesn't get.
Oh, wait, they married? Sorry, I can't.
I think they're married, yeah.
Okay.
She doesn't get to talk or anything. She just exists. But,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is where Stan finds out that nothing's happening with the case. And Prez tries to reiterate that you weren't listening to me last time. This is what I was trying to tell you. Daniels, Freeman, it was these guys that had us looking at the money, and we were deep into Avon Barksdale shit. And he's just really trying to sell the art of investigation. But what he also lets slip is that we would have kept going, but we actually just had to stop because Burrell made us stop. And that sparked something in Valchek, who now is furious because nothing's happened.
So twice Perez mentions Burrell, like, we would have got this if it wasn't for Burrell. So there's two takeaways from that scene for me. It's him burying Burrell unintentionally, but burying Burrell, and then him bigging up Daniels, because now Daniels is in the back of Valchek's head.
Yes. This is the scene, man. You nailed it. Stringer comes to check on Donette. You knew it.
Right.
You called it from the very first meeting. While at the time, nothing was going on, but Stringer was definitely sniffing around.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll just go back to the first interaction, just the way he was so familiar with Donette. Now, I don't know if that was the writers planting the seed very early, or if it was something they reviewed and said, oh, let's build on that. But either way, it was brilliant because I didn't see it coming. Like, they planted the seed, but I didn't see it coming. So,
yeah, and it's very creepy. They're very flirty at first. He's very nice, but you're not sure, is he just being like the nice brother type figure or what? It is very flirty. He's sitting on the couch and she's making him, a drink. He very much seems like the man of the house. But then he gets down to business. Stringer gets down to business and tells Donette, you got to go see that man. And we all have a job to do. And your job is to make sure D'Angelo knows that we're family. And she's a little, I don't know, not rolls her eyes, but like, yeah, I know. And he's pretty stern with her here, which is I think makes the end of the scene so surprising. Donette tries to give Stringer a shirt. At the end, he says, you can give the man's clothes away, but that don't, whatever. But at the end, before everything gets into it, he looks at the shirt and says, it's not my size. I'm an XL. And she says, you sure are, or something like that. And that's when they start hooking up. Donette and Stringer.
Yeah, it was written so well because it built slowly, and you see the flirtation, and it goes from, like you said, him laying down what the business is and what everybody's role is, and how you like this house you're in, right? You're comfortable, right? This is what's keeping you comfortable. We all got to play our parts. And at the end, it's funny that he's trying to give away Dee's clothes and how much context you put behind Dee's clothes. And we see him later. We see he's the shell of himself. So I never would have paid so much attention to his clothes if you didn't bring that out. So it's even better that she's trying to give away his shirt. But it's also a great setup for him to say, I'm an XL, and set up their sex scene. So it just adds so much context to Stringer and D'Angelo's relationship beforehand, because in my head, I'm like, how long has this been going on? Is that why he's so blatantly disrespectful to D? I always felt like he was very disrespectful to D. So this makes me think this has been going on since before I even noticed it in that one episode.
I gotta tell you, like, this is the most sucker shit I've seen from Stringer yet on the show.
Is it though? I mean, look,
this is sucker shit.
I mean, this is totally out of context, but on Instagram the other day, there was this clip, and it was Lil Wayne talking about Drake, and I guess, I don't know the whole backstory, but Wayne was in jail, and Drake hooked up with one of his side chicks or something, and they had a conversation about it, but I guess that's the rules. It's like, yo, you're locked up. It's fair game. I don't know. I agree with you now. I'm not on the side of that, but it's like that's his baby's mother. So, but remember, he was with Chardine. So let's not pretend like D'Angelo was being faithful to his baby mom. So
sure, but Chardine didn't have any relations to anyone else. I don't even mean the affair so much. I mean, to each their own. Love is love if they have a chemistry, but this should be off limits, especially because I'm pretty sure Avon doesn't know this is happening.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Avon doesn't know about this. Yeah.
So this is for me, this is almost like, like you kind of said, you feel like this was like something from that's been kind of leading up to or been going on since before we've seen it. It feels like he's been waiting for his chance to get D'Angelo's baby mama. Stringer's a successful guy. The women love him. Right? This felt like, I was like, is this like the first sex scene that Idris Elba, or first like love scene we've kind of ever saw from him?
In The Wire, at least, right?
Yeah, and I feel like this was his earliest work. So I feel like this is the first like sex symbol thing for Stringer.
Okay.
we could imagine Stringer could get any girl he wanted, right? Why this girl?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm curious. What about? And I don't know if it has something to do with D'Angelo. Like, I don't like this. So I'm gonna speculate a little bit, and then we can move on. But I feel like Stringer is frustrated by D'Angelo's lack of being down and lack of being built for this. You know what I mean? And I think he resents D'Angelo, and he resents everything about him. I just see that permeate through every interaction they have with each other. Like, Stringer does not like D'Angelo and the fact that he's not built for this. So I don't know if this is his way of punishing him for that by taking his woman. I don't know if it's subconscious or maybe I'm reading too much into it. Who knows? But
no, that's exactly why. Yeah, what is it about it? Is it because is it punitive? Is he conscious of it as a character? All those things. I definitely wonder.
Yeah.
Bunk and McNulty are going to take Beatty out to the bar.
But she's smart enough to not stick with them the whole time.
Yeah,
she knows when to tap out.
Yeah, she's not getting roped into this crew.
Mm-hmm.
And
now, you think Bunk was trying to Bunk's
I'm sure he's
Bunk's a tomcat, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure the Bunk's thinking it's fair game. If it goes down, it's good for the Bunk.
Yeah, Bunk was thinking things, man.
This is also where McNulty takes that picture back out again and says he's going to give this one a name. And we see like McNulty's roped into this case now.
Yeah, this is his new Avon. Mm-hmm.
Stan gets the picture at the police station. This is where he finds out that his surveillance van has been taken by the Union, and now this picture is coming from Wilmington, Delaware.
All the way, yeah.
He pulls out the magnifying glass. Hell of a detective this guy is.
I just love that the show is moving all the way up the tri-state, though. It's pretty cool. This is going to Delaware, Philly, Bronx. I mean, they didn't really go to the Bronx, which is a fake outside shot, but still. Mm-hmm. I mean, they really went to Philly. So
yes. Worker comes in to tell Frank about how hard it's been with getting hours. We already learned this from Nick, and he's got family, and says he thinks he wants to go with another union, which I guess makes me think that it's not like this everywhere. Maybe other unions are getting more favorable hours, but this guy thinks he'd have a better shot somewhere else. And Frank gives the guy a bill and tells him to tell Dolores, the bartender, that you need a shot and a beer on me. Think about it. And if you decide tomorrow you want to go to the other union, you got my blessing.
Now, I automatically assumed he was going to give him money, but he seemed very surprised when he got to the bar, right? Event and scenes later.
So you got that right away that he was.
Yeah, just the way he said it, he was like, "Tell her this specific thing." I assumed right away.
The guy doesn't get it though.
Yeah, he didn't get it at all. But I mean, granted, he was worried about his family and stuff.
Yeah. Johnny is working the cans. Ziggy comes to him. We get to kind of see the control center, the logistics of the cans, and tells the guy, pick me a number. And this is where you're starting to try to play catch up, that there's a scheme that everyone is in on. Johnny has got a can number for Ziggy, and I guess it's not in the system exactly as far as which number it is. And so Ziggy takes this to Horseface, and Nick, who hasn't been really working, is now driving a truck. They're categorizing that this can was lost, or it's wrong delivery, wrong address, and they're taking it off to where it's supposed to go. It's a lot you're trying to pick up at once, especially knowing that Nick is in need of a job and we haven't seen him driving. It's like, is this what Nick is doing now? Like, what's going on exactly? The important thing to realize is that they're working the system to take cans out, and this is all part of some sort of a deal that Nick wants to try to work out with another member of the Greeks.
Right. And I think it's smart that Nick's working within that organization, right? Rather than buying drugs from some random whoever that was. Nick is working within the same organization that Frank's working within. So at least he's protected, he's insulated within that group.
Tillman is settling up with Butchie for his next package. And this is the actual tainted, the hot shots that we're going to come to know. This is where this actually happens. D'Angelo, we get to see him now again. Last time we saw him, he was getting high. D'Angelo's working in the prison library. Avon comes to check on him, make sure that D'Angelo knows that he's the one that got him this job.
He's like, what, you want to thank you or something? You can tell he's still not happy with Avon.
Yeah, and he says, I got 20 years. And Avon tells him that you might not be doing the whole 20. And he says he's not going to be doing the whole 7. And D'Angelo is like, how's that? I got priors. That's not going to happen. Whatever you're working on, I'm not going to qualify for that. And Avon says, listen, something's going down. You can keep your mind straight and everything. Stay clear. You might be a part of this.
So he's really warning him also.
Right, because D'Angelo says, my mind is clear. And Avon says straight, he's like, you look dusted. And
he said that shit is now, I don't want to misquote him, but he said something like that's weak people stuff, right? Or something to that degree.
Yeah.
Or the weak man's path, something like that. Yeah.
Yep. And D'Angelo says it's just once in a while. And so Avon plays this real chill. We don't know that this entire thing is a setup and he's got something in the works already. But he says, if it's no big thing, just once in a while, then it should be no thing. Just like chill off of it, right? You going to do that for me? Just let it chill. Just chill off it. And D'Angelo says, yeah, all right. I'll give it
a few days. Yeah, all right.
For a few days. No big deal if it's not a problem. And D'Angelo says, yeah. And Avon says it's love. Ain't no, I think he says ain't no thing. It's always love, D.
It's always love.
Always love. I mentioned in season 1, there's always been this bond, no matter how tense it felt like the situation warranted. Avon never gave D'Angelo that energy. And he's still doubling down on D'Angelo. He gets on his job and he's letting him know, like, it's all love.
Yeah.
But who knows? They need him to not snitch too. So you never know if he's just being played.
Yeah, that's true.
Ziggy and Nick come to meet a Greek partner for digital camera sales.
Right.
They're selling these 2003 digital cameras, top of the line. And they're going for a bunch of money. I think you say like $500, $550 they sell for.
Well, Ziggy knows what the real retail is. He got the Best Buy, Circuit City, the Wiz, who knows what else he got from back then. So,
and the Greek, I'm calling him the Greek, even though that is not his name, wants to offer, I think his name is Super G. Something like that, or Triple, I think his name is Triple G. But,
okay. So he's a boxer. Okay.
Yeah. And he wants to offer $16,000 and Nick demands 20. And I think they're splitting it 3 ways between him and I'm assuming John, the guy who lost the can for them, who helped or gave them the number for the can. And the guy agrees.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe that worked.
I mean, I'm very curious the background. So like no one's looking for these dozens of or hundreds of missing cameras, but I'll wait.
Polk, we get to see Polk and the other losers of the detail. They are playing poker, and that's when Valchek comes in, and it's attention everybody. He's looking for the lieutenant. Lieutenant is nowhere to be seen.
He's out on the street.
Out on the street, working rips. And Valchek looks over at the board, and it is just a picture of Frank Sobotka, and there's nothing else on this crime board. Compared to last season, they had to flip that thing over just to start a paper trail. Burrell is at some sort of an event, commissioner's vote or something like that in the hall, and Valchek is storming in, pissed off, coming straight from the detail, and this is where he's going to start flexing. Valchek, which was hinted at last season when he told Daniels, you got suction with me, and you were always kind of wondering what kind of power Valchek would have. Valchek is definitely threatening and wielding this power in front of Burrell now by telling him, I know all about this case that you try to shelve with Avon Barksdale, and if I start talking shit about what I know, you're going to be screwed. I'm going to screw your vote. And he gives Burrell an ultimatum. I want guys. You gave me humps. I want the black guy.
Yeah, I want the black guy from the Barksdale case. Mm-hmm.
The black lieutenant. And Burrell says he handed in his papers, and Valchek basically says it's not a done deal, right? Get him back. Yeah, did it hit the pension board yet? Nope. So that's going to have to be Burrell's things. I was happy to see Daniels back. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I knew they were going to have to bring him back somehow. So I was happy to see that. How is it going to work, right? Mm-hmm. And Burrell is going to have to, I mean, I hope they show that scene next week. Burrell come crawling back to Daniels and adding him to the detail. Like, I got to see how their relationship, is now. So We see Tillman dropping off the drugs in the cough drop package. So we see how this kind of works. And it's the guy that D'Angelo was kind of hanging out with last episode. And just a little quick drop off, no exchange of money or anything like that. The guy,
because they're inside, so
yeah, the guy makes the run and stops by D'Angelo. D'Angelo's not doing it. And I think the phrase, we hear it when the guy goes next door. He says, you hit D, and he says, he ain't up. We've heard that a few times. You up, I'm not up. We heard that with Poot when he was checking out Wallace last season. D'Angelo is just chilling, just like Avon asked him to.
He's reading a book.
At this point,
sure has some symbolism to it. I gotta look back and see what the book he's reading is.
At this point, did you caught on to what the plan is or what's going on, or are you still
no
okay.
idea?
Okay. Triple G, I'm going to call him. If that's wrong, we'll find out once his name starts getting used. Triple G tells Spiros that he wants to make this deal, and Spiros gives him the blessing, and they talk a little bit about Ziggy. We learn that there's no respect for Ziggy. They assume that Ziggy is even a drug addict.
Yeah.
But they give a lot of credit to Nicholas, or Nick, or Nico, as they call him, Nico. They speak as if he's family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they respect him and not Ziggy. That's the key takeaway there.
Ziggy is at the local bar. Union worker walks in, and this is the guy that was talking to Frank Sobotka earlier, saying that he wants to go to a different union, and he does exactly as Frank says. Hey, Frank Sobotka says, I need a shot and a beer. Looks over at Ziggy. Again, you said you knew what was going on, but this guy has no idea. Dolores hands him the shot and the beer, comes back again with a big stack of cash, a nice stack of cash. Probably a few grand.
Yeah, enough to hold him over for the month, it seems like.
For sure. And the guy is surprised, and Dolores says, this is your change, or so says Frank Sobotka. And
now, why do you well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say she closes it out when he walks out, because she says, it's not mine. Someone's going to take it if you don't take it. So the guy takes it, and Dolores goes over to Ziggy and tells him, your father's a good man.
And that was my question. Why do you think Ziggy needed to hear that, right? Well, I don't know enough about the relationship between Frank and Ziggy, why he doesn't see that Frank's a good guy. Because, I see it just with meeting him. So
we're going to find out more about how Ziggy feels. But I think we can take it in this case as Ziggy maybe is watching this unfold, not sure what's going on.
Okay.
And I think we can just look at it as Dolores is almost explaining to Ziggy what's happening in the same way that, if people were to be talking about Frank, she would maybe go over and say to Ziggy, hey, your dad's a good man. That's why people are telling these great stories about your dad. I'm handing this cash to him because, just who else is she going to say it to? He's the most obvious person. Really just more so giving affirmation to Ziggy, what he maybe does or doesn't know, but she wants to express it.
Right.
Long-winded answer. McNulty gets home, and he sees the separation papers.
Right. So she wants to get a legal separation, right?
Yeah. So this is going to happen, and he's just kind of like, oh, great.
Yeah, he's not happy about it.
Someone starts screaming in the prison. It wakes up D'Angelo. The alarm's going off. Lights are on. And he's yelling, what's going on? What's happening? And they said everyone's falling out. Hot shots. Tainted drugs. The drugs that D'Angelo was using prior. Avon asked him to give it a break. The drugs that Tillman got from Butchie, which we know Stringer already previously went to and asked and said, we need you because you're the man to him, so we need you for the setup. They poisoned the drugs to bring awareness of Tillman bringing in the drugs.
Exactly. Yeah. So Avon, masterstroke, and this is like kind of the most calculated thing I've seen him do in the whole series, right? Because he got D'Angelo in line with one stroke, and he also got rid of that Tillman. He's contented towards Tillman, like you alluded to. So it was really masterful, but it's also really evil. You know what I mean? Because he poisoned his fellow inmates, and now people probably dead or dying or sick because of him, right? Mm. And you see him just in his cell, kind of like not even affected by it.
As the orchestrator of it, I thought it was very purposeful. Cut or fade to him in his cell as he knows what's going on.
Yeah, it was a great shot. But it also, I don't know, man. You know how you said this is the first time you felt like Stringer did a sucker move? I kind of feel that way a little bit about Avon. Not as a sucker move because I don't know, man. I just feel like there was a way for him to get to Tillman without hurting innocent people, and I guess they're users, but still, like, I don't know, man. I didn't feel good about what Avon did here. I respect the smartness of it because he got D'Angelo in line and got rid of Tillman in one stroke, but it was just it was very evil, very cruel.
Yeah, he's never cared, about drug addicts and right before he went away, and he was saying, he wants motherfuckers dropping like flies or something like that.
Right.
And he is, and even though he's very charismatic and one of my favorite characters, he is an evil, murderous drug dealer at the end of the day, which is why one of the reasons why McNulty and the detail were chasing him last season. When you put it that way, of course, I think, in my opinion, I feel that Avon only has loyalty to his crew and to his neighborhood, so to speak. But also, I think he knows, like we kind of mentioned, like, he doesn't respect drug users. He knows no one he's close to his crew, and that's why he made sure to check on D'Angelo, doesn't use anyway, so he didn't have anyone affected. He doesn't care about everyone else. And that's probably, I don't know, in everything you see about in TV and movies about jails, prisons, everyone's crewed up, and that's why people join crews by race or whatever. It's kind of like your crew, your gang against everyone else.
Yeah, I just feel like there was no war, right? Everyone's kind of neutral in Avon.
Very true. This is just to get a CO, a correctional officer.
Yeah. But still smart, still as a script element and a show element, I was shocked up until, like, I didn't get it. Like, you asked me if I understood what was going on. I didn't understand until the first person fell out. That's when I started understanding. So my favorite episode of the season so far. Man, this is up there. I really liked every bit of this episode. I thought it pushed the story forward, and also, reintroduced Omar. Hot shots, a new term now, I know, and then it showed us a new side of Stringer, revealed that relationship that it kind of alluded to in episode 1. So it's a lot of payoff here. I liked it. Really liked it.
How are you feeling about the Doc storyline now that we know?
It's getting convoluted. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's convoluted because now we're away from the priest in the stained glass, and the rivalry is growing. But Frank's also, they're still setting it up, so I'm giving it a chance. I'm interested in where Frank's going and what his next steps are. Ziggy and Nico. I'm not sure what's going on with them, but I think they're interesting too. But I don't know overall what's going on with the Doc. I don't know what the direction is. And we see his goal in the political meeting is drudging the canal, right? So that's still, they set that up in episode 1, and it's still very important. So I need to be conscious that that's very important and keep reminding myself of that. So
when we talk about our crews that we had as far as who won, who lost, right? We've got Bunk and Freeman, and now McNulty and Beatty kind of all looking at this thing. Yeah.
They didn't make any headway. I'm not going to give them a win.
Yeah, nothing. Still really nothing for Stan Valchek. In fact, he's going to hopefully now start to, but for this episode at least, a big L because he's gotten no progress on the case he wanted, I think.
But he did confront Burrell and get a new detail did get Daniels ahead of a new detail. So I'm not going to give him, he might get a W for that. Let's see who else. Let's keep going. So
we've got the Barksdales, which I think get a definite win.
Because of the hot shots?
Because of the hot shots. I mean, their objective in this case was, one, they've been wanting to reach out to Donette to tell Donette that she's got to go reach D'Angelo. Avon was able to reach D'Angelo, get his mind a little cleaner, and they got the CO that was
messing with Wee Bay. Okay. Yeah. They collectively, they did more. Sure. Who's left though? Frank. What did his crew do?
Frank and the Union itself.
They had that political meeting. And that was about it, right?
That was
one guy. They secured that one dude who was going to leave, and so you're right. Barksdale crew won this week. So,
but
What?
We've got
Omar.
we got our favorite contender back in the house. Omar coming, and he's crewed up. This is the largest.
Yeah.
This is the largest we've ever seen the Omar crew. 4 people.
4 people, yeah. So, so they haven't. So this was their first mission. They've just formed the team. Now that they're a fully formed team, next week we can add them to this. I'm not ready to add them yet because they just had their first mission together.
Okay, so we're giving a win to the Barksdale, and we're giving a win to Stan Valchek.
We'll give him a partial win because he got a new detail going. Let's see where that goes, though. I'm not going to give him a full win. The Barksdale crew was the real winner this week.
We'll call that a check plus.
Yeah. So.
All right, so then we've got coming up season 2, episode 4, Hard Cases.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess that's it. Unless you have any other questions, thoughts, anything.
No, I'm just excited to see the next one. So.
All right. So we'll do that. We'll do that next time.
All right. So I'm Sean. This was my first watch.
My rewatch. The Wire.
See you next week.
Later.